Hi guys, it's May Elizabeth, and um, I've been meaning to do a video, and I've been behind because I've been flying a lot, and I'll try to post a couple pictures of that. I was in Calgary, Canada, which is was the weather was beautiful, and that has nothing to do with the videos that I create, but in a way it does because it's related to consciousness. And what I think at this point is, even though um, we appear to travel physically throughout the realm, we go from A to B, either in a car or a train or a plane or a boat, but I don't feel like we actually ever really travel anywhere. It's all consciousness shifting because we're not in a real place in the sense that we are projected into here. And it's a type of reality, reality. So anyway, this video I wanted to talk for a few minutes about the word reset is the first word, and it's the prefix RE that I want to go over for a minute, and I just want us all to think about the RE context in a word, and why do I think it's used so much. Okay, so the first word is obviously reset. So in the word reset, we see that that implies that we're doing something again, right? It's a repeat of doing something again. So if life is a stage and we are the players, and this is a type of projection, illusion, Maya movie stage, right? That we reside in, reside in. Okay, so this set has been done before. I think that we are in a sort of a loop, um, like the Infinity Eight. We're doing laps, and we keep doing these. Either our own lives are repeated, which I strongly believe in, and I also believe in the possibility that you enter into another life as well. But reincarnation, we have to examine that, um, take a closer look at that. Is it a psyop? I mean, there's half truths everywhere with this, with the controllers. They love the half truth. And so, what I'm trying to say is that reincarnation is obviously very likely. We know that we don't die, energy doesn't die, so consciousness does not die. However, what I've gathered, especially in this book, the Matrix series from the 1980s by an ex-CIA guy, there's a lot of valuable information in that book, which is very obscure and hard to find. However, we are simultaneous incarnations in this simulation, simultaneous. In other words, if there is one jellyfish or one macro being courting you into this system, into this projected reality, it's very likely that you're also in another version of yourself, and likely another version of your consciousness is residing in a different body in a different time. So what that means is if there's no time and space, if time is not linear, okay, and linear is another word with an re, re-line, right? Re-a line. So if time is not linear and we just keep returning to this type of matrix, well, who's to say that you die and go on to somewhere in the future? Why is that? You just assume that you're basing that on your primitive brain, which has been dumbed down and brainwashed to some degree, and that time, this illusion of time, all makes sense, and that you would only go forward following this life. I don't think that death is real. It's nothing like they tell us. And I believe that you can go on to different simulations. Um, and apparently the highest level is when you realize that you are a god and you create your own matrix. Would that be something earthly like, or would it be something else? So, but in order to elevate beyond here and to exit this one, I don't think that there's any way without preparation, without obviously waking up to the falsity, the facade of this whole place is part of that, but I think that it's much more. So the first word that I talked about is reset. The next word I want to talk about that I think I mentioned in another video is record, record, like an album record. When you look at an album record, it is a big circle. That is where I think that we reside. Actually, I know that we do. There's a big circle around our ring, um, which is obviously plasma, and of course there's a sort of dome firmament that we're encased in. However, this is like a disc, and what do discs do? They record. So we are corded down here, and we're re-recorded and re-recorded down to this in this projection. I say down, could be up. I think that once you're out of here, there's no such thing as down and up in the way that we perceive that. But, however, when we look at the disc type matrix that we know, and actually there's a great video out that's probably 4 years old. I'll try to see if I can post it in this video for anyone who hasn't seen it. I imagine most truth seekers have already seen this, but it's a great depiction of our world, which is a holographic system. And in the holographic system, Polaris serves as a type of projector, while the sun and um, the moon is the reflector, obviously. And it's so interesting because once it hits you, you realize what a movie set we are in, right? The True Man Show. So, but there's a lot of liberation in that, recognizing the world for what it is. And um, part of the process, I think, in getting out of here is understanding the construct and how it's created, how it's made up so that we can exit finally. So we're not in this system, which is the system of the demiurge. We know rules this system, right? So and so here's another word. Okay, I'm just going to do about 3 or 4 terms that I think are related to the fact that we are put in here time and time again. And in some ways, whether it's in the body that you're in now or a different one, is sometimes is not really relevant to what I'm saying right now, which is it is important to know, do you just keep living the same life over and over? It's possible. I think it's likely that we do that, and we also live other types of life. And I think that we play a role in that, in our advancement, and we make that choice when we're out of here. So another word that does not start with an RE, and I don't think a lot of these terms have to start with an RE to give us the clues. And we are like detectives, essentially, looking for clues, right? We're looking for clues in language. That's why I created this channel. So we're looking at clues through language. There's obviously gematria. There's many ways to find clues hidden in plain sight, right? Hand gestures and everything. I mean, the celebrity shows this all the time, but we're looking for clues in language. And that is one of my gifts that I want to share with you. So here's an interesting word, federal, right? It's the federal government which unfortunately run this system, this matrix system, right? So federal government, when we look at the word federal, there's the RE, right? Re, that implies again. Again, they are running our system. I have noticed that all AL is part of the word ball, BAAL, cabal, and it implies all of us. So, and aluminum also is another part of that. So, federal, 666 is FED. You will notice that the F is the number 6 in when you do gematria, and you'll notice that the D is also a 6, and so is the small e. So, or the could be the big E, which is a 3, which is half of 6. So everything, and I write all this down in a book, and I'm sure a lot of you that listen to this do the same thing. It's a great way to decode, right? So when you look at the alphabet and you see the 3 sixes, in any word, when you see the 2 threes or the 2 sixes, you can bet this is related to the Saturnian alphabet. This has a hidden meaning. So federal, they are triple sixing all of us. When we leave, when we exit, we come back. And they are our owners, our controllers, right? The good thing, though, is that they're not very creative. They're very limited. Because I am hearing some theories about how they are essentially dead entities that are trying to, they're collecting loosh from us, and they cannot be in the physical form as we are, which we are a type of God. We are very powerful beings, and they envy that. So they suck and vampire the life out of us with the appearance of control. They can control your financial state. They can make things difficult, and they're connected with AI, so it is AI essentially. So it interferes with you on a daily basis, right? Moment to moment even. However, you are the more powerful being. There's no doubt in my mind. But I'm showing you the clues that they use in the language and the alphabet to show that we come back here again and again and again. And that is the important thing that I want people to note here. It's through language they're showing us that they know these codes. There's no doubt about it. So recycle, there's another interesting one. We recycle, don't we? So the word cycle is like, spinning, cycling around. So we know that we are not sitting on a spinning ball, I think most of us at this point. However, there is a type of spinning clock that is part of our realm. And the sun spinning, for example, the moon spinning. So the stars, from everything that I've been reading and learning, is obviously a fixed system. But we recycle back into here. So we cycle out, and then we are recycled. Kind of like if you look at a bicycle tire, right? And it's interesting, there's a show called The Prisoner, which there is a depiction of in the intro of the larger wheel and the smaller wheel, which somehow relates to our situation, our being in the holographic system. It does mean something to the controllers. So now, the other words that I want to mention are real, which real is the most interesting to me of all words, probably. Real, re-all. So that means we are re-alling you, because it's a collective conscious. We are re-all, R-E-A-L. We are re-alled into this system, real reality. You could also look at that as Ra, the sun, and El, God, right? Because they love double, triple meanings to one term. They love anagrams, and they love acronyms too, but they love anagrams. And we know Satan and Santa is one of the more obvious. I think even the normies can figure that one out. However, real, I mean, boy, that one is a big clue right there when we look at that word. So another one really important that I want to mention is remember. So we use the word remember a lot. And I mean, we are the vessels, we are the tools that help create this construct. And by speaking, our frequency, okay, resonates, reason, right? The sun is here again. We're in a loop, sun. Our the tone of our voices, the frequency resonates, and it's also the Saturnian alphabet is only a short alphabet, 26 characters, and in this alphabet is a lot of ways to recreate essentially the same terms in just different ways. They're just reorganizing a short set. I mean, there's only 5 vowels, and so that leaves 21 consonants. Now here's another one that is not an RE, but I'm going to mention it. Should be in my con video, but consonants, constant ants. We're constantly ants, aren't we? Oh my goodness, this stuff is like right in your face. But most people will never. I mean, if you go have coffee with your neighbor or you talk to a stranger, I mean, no one will ever see this. But it's so hidden in plain, visible sight. It makes me crazy just thinking that nobody can see this. But hopefully, whoever's listening can. So remember is interesting because we are members of this construct, right? And every time we leave, we exit, we have the fake death, which isn't real. It's nothing like they tell us. And then we return. We once again are turning, return, which is interesting because that makes me think of the last name Turner. All names are satanic. They are Saturnian. All surnames especially, we know the straw man and how names are written in caps because that is not who we truly are. That has nothing to do with our ID entity, right? So remember, you are once again becoming a member of this construct. You leave and now you're remembering. So memory is really important. So when we are focused on the chronology, technology, we're scrolling constantly in our dead see the scrolls. See the dead scrolling on their phones. When we are doing these sorts of which is feeding the cabal and the demiurge with the chronology, when we are doing this actively, we are not creating any real memories, are we? No. I mean, it's when we connect with other people, when we are in nature. This is when we create memories. However, to remember is a huge part of the controller's psyop in this world. Just like the Mandela effect, oh, it's a false memory. Well, remember is just an important term that they want us to say and use a lot because there's so much falsity behind it. So, in other words, we are wrong if we remember it as Berenstain Bears versus Berenstein, for example. Okay, so there's another example. Many ways that, and we're remembering into this construct when we are born, and so when we exit and we return, we are re-members of this. Think of it like a country club. You're a member of a country club, although that would be something you probably want to do. But we are remembered down into when we are recorded into this reality. Do you see all the re's? It means, it implies that we've done it again and again and again and again. And it's important to notice this as we want to never return here. Another one is reproduce. Like a producer on a movie set. Okay? A producer on a movie set, right? Isn't that interesting? They produce the play. And then we reproduce when we have children. And also, interestingly, it's the produce in the grocery store are vegetables. And we reproduce. I'm sure they laugh about that. So, reproduce. Because we produce again and again and again and again and again to keep their system afloat. Another one that may seem very far-fetched to anyone listening, and probably the people closest to me who are considered normies would possibly have me committed for saying this. I don't think so, but here's the thing. I want you to think with an abstract, out of the box. Get out of this black cube for a moment. So mother and father. Look at the word, just look at it, mother. It ends in ER. Now, re-moth. What would re-moth mean? What does a moth do? She flies to the light, right? So the great white light, follow the great white light, right? So she goes to the great white light. That's what a moth naturally does. And she does it again and again and again. And when she reproduces, she has remothed herself, but she needs a father, fath. Okay, when you read about this term, kind of like unfathomable, a fath implies something 6 feet under. Okay, so she needs a dead from 6 feet under entity, and then you need to remoth to the light to reproduce. I don't care really how far-fetched it sounds, that's fine with me. But I know that there's meaning with these two words. And then we get into the parent, the pair that rent. So, brother and sister, re-cyst is another one, re-broth. So, because we're like, we're just cattle, chicken, and we're rebrothing. So, all of this, the point is the re, because you're doing it again and again and again. So, so they know that. And renew is another one. We often renew and report. What is a news report? Port as in water, right? And we know that we come from water. And when they do a news report with the breaking, K-I-N-G, K is the for control. Six, king, six is in control. King. And that is not related to the RE, but it is similar to REB. I think that the B implies that we are the bees, the bumblebees, and we're also the ants. So because we're the hive mind. So I do believe that they use the letter B often to refer to us. So breaking, B, and then the RE. We are AB, king. The king is in control. There's always a king. And there was recently the protest, no kings. I thought that was so interesting. I don't think it would ever dawn on a normie that king could actually mean six in control. G is a six, I-N, K, control. So king, we know that that word goes back, way back in history, right? If whatever history really is. However, it's a prominent term for the controllers. So, breaking, another RE where they are control of the bees, and there's the king who's in control. Six is in control. This is the six. Six is everything. We sit on not an axis, we sit on a six. There is a six. And that has to do with the nature and shape of this construct. So I didn't want to be so long-winded on this. I have a lot more RE words. One last one is soldier, which I found interesting for a long time. Soldier, re-sold. So the soldier is re-sold into here. And we know the soldier goes to battle, although I think we're all soldiers, really, essentially, aren't we? Those of us who are real souled beings, we are all soldiers in this battle, in this silent war. Where really the silent war, the technology is the weapon, right? And we have to get one step ahead of it. And the last thing I want to say is one way to do that is to reconnect, obviously, reconnect with nature. Reconnect. You could also say connector. It's just so funny that a lot of these words you can take, like let's say repost, you can take that and make poster. So they love that. So the best way to get out of here is reconnecting more with other humans and more time away from the phones and the videos and things like that. It's a shame because I don't have another way to let out these thoughts, these downloads that I get, other than recording them to you. And I wish I did. I hate that because I don't like the whole system, and I never have. And that's all that I'm going to say for now. But you can think of your own words that start with RE that I haven't even mentioned, and you're going to see patterns. And that's the whole point of all these videos that I make, is to recognize patterns. What's the word recognize? Recognize. It means cognizant, okay? And you've been cognizant before, and you're trying to connect with whatever is outside of this matrix who is trying to reach you. I know I'm not the only one going through this, but there is something giving you codes and symbols, those of us that are awake, that is outside of this system. And I think the best way to reach them, to connect with them, is to not join AI chatbots and things like that. I think that's really dangerous. Is with real books, real nature, real connection with humans, sleep outside of technology, which maybe means going to a secluded cabin, camping. Anyway, more on that later, and I will stop this for now and until the next video. And for anyone listening, thanks for listening.